Does it want to see the blood? Bless its heart, so it shall. Take a good look, my pet. You'll see enough of it if this sort of thing keeps up.
There was the blood.
It had been washed away.
But there was more to come.
The blood had been removed, and so had the writing on the wall.
The case of Mary Jane Kelly, the morning of Friday, the 9th of November. It's the longest gap. 40 days after Catherine Eddowes on Sunday, the 30th of September, 1888.
I'm not through with her yet.
Now, Kelly was younger.
Stay with Eddowes and the writing on the wall.
John what? Had Daniel come to judgment?
It applies. Sir Charles, Officer and Gentleman Warren, Chief Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, was certainly many tickle-up housing.
Weighed in the balance and found wanting.
He was too. When Catherine Eddowes' body was found, half her apron was cut off. And a couple of hours later, and a few streets away, they found the missing half.
And the writing on the wall. Was it written in capitals?
We don't know. We don't know whether it was capitals, continental letters, copperplate, or the same handwriting as the Ripper letters. Because Sir Charles comes whistling down from the yard and orders his men to rub it out.
Unforgivable.
But what we do know, because Detective Sergeant House used his eyes, is that that word was spelt J-U-W-E-S.
Still can't see why you or that city police lawyer are so interested. I mean, the Ripper's letters were full of spelling mistakes. I mean, it's the way he handles a knife that matters, not what he does with a piece of chalk.
The reason why that city police lawyer, Crawford, kept on about the spelling is that he spotted what that word could be. And it's got nothing to do with the men who followed Moses. The J-U's are Jubilar, Jubilo, and Jubilum.
Sound like a circus act.
They were the three Masons working on Solomon's temple who murdered the Grand Master Hiram Abiff.
Three Masons, is that your line? Sure you wasn't a Jehovah's Witness?
You may think it's daft, but I have a feeling that Crawford didn't, and neither did Sir Charles Warren. And he was Chief Commissioner, mind, not some fussy local JP. But something made him desperately anxious to get that writing wiped out. Not just covered up or hidden until it could be photographed, but removed.
Was Crawford a Mason?
We don't know, but Warren was.
A big shot?
Yeah, joined in Gibraltar in 1859.
Gibraltar?
Yeah, he was stationed there.
So he joined for social reasons?
Oh, no. Very keen indeed was Sir Charles. Right up the Masonic ladder. Grand Arch in 1861, a Knight Templar 2 years later, and a Grand Elected Knight in 1879. He was an officer of the Grand Lodge as well. 2 years before these murders, he was busy founding the first Quater Coronati Lodge of Masonic Research. And he was a past Grand Sojourner in the Supreme Grand Chapter, whatever that means.
Sounds important.
I believe he wanted, even needed, to wipe out evidence that Jack the Ripper was a Mason too.
Well, they certainly stick together, as we both know from Lancashire.
And they're secretive. Do you know much about the ritual?
No. Oh, except something about rolling up your left trouser leg when you join. Pretty comic.
But secret.
So you don't know anything either?
Found out of it.
How?
I found somebody... See, I'm being secretive. Somebody who's a good Mason, but also a good cop. And with that, and the best part of a bottle of scotch, I got the 3 J's sorted. Jubilar, Jubilo, and Jubilum. The 3 murderers.
And who did they kill?
The Grand Master Hiram Abiff. Huh? And Solomon, it was his temple, remember, ordered the other Masons to track them down. And they did, and killed them with due ceremony and formal ritual.
Like Edo's.
The abdomen was all exposed. The intestines were drawn out to a large extent and placed over the right shoulder. A piece of the intestines was quite detached from the body and placed between the left arm and the body.
By placed, do you mean put there by design?
Yes.
Would that also apply to the intestines that were over the right shoulder?
Yes.
Placed by design.
Become a master mason and he's one of the instructions.
Instructions?
For the murder of the J-U-W-E-S. Let the breast be torn open, and the heart and vitals be taken from thence and thrown over the left shoulder.
Left, not right. And that's not the only murder where things and... what things were placed and arranged.
You mean...
Yeah. Victim number 2, remember, Dr. Phillips?
I searched the yard, and I found a small piece of coarse muslin and a pocket comb in a paper case lying at the feet of the woman. They had apparently been placed there in order, or arranged there.
Not the same...
But the words, and he used them again in just your context.
The intestines, severed from their mesenteric attachments, had been lifted out of the body and placed by the shoulder of the corpse.
So it's number 2 and number 4, which is 100%.
2 out of 4?
Well, I mean, number 1, the doctor only looked at to see she was dead. Number 3, there the ripper was interrupted.
Number 5?
Mary Jane Kelly.
It was 11:15 on Friday morning. I said to my man John Bowyer, go to Mary Jane Kelly's room and try and get some rent from her. She was charged 4 shillings a week, but she was 30 shillings in arrears. I'll make it a rule to collect rent from the court daily. But Kelly'd been having a hard time of it lately, so I'd heard. I didn't press her. So I told Bowyer, go to number 13, that was Kelly's room, and see if she's going to give me any money. Bowyer went, but when they knocked on the door, he couldn't get any answer. He looked through the keyhole, but the key was missing. Now, there's 2 windows that face the court on the left-hand side of the room. One of them was broken when Kelly had a row with a man she said was her husband. And the hole had been stopped with a man's old coat behind a muslin curtain. Bowyer put his hand through the hole and drew the curtain and the coat aside. Now, he's been a soldier for 20 years. And seen service in India, but he'll tell you himself he nearly fainted at the horrible sight that met his eyes. The woman was lying a naked, bloody mess on the bed. She'd been mutilated out of all recognition.
Well, I was that scared when I saw what I saw that we're not good keeping these from knocking together. I run round to the governor here and told him something dreadful had happened at number 13. But how anybody could have had the audacity to commit such a crime there of all places, fair knocked me all of a heap. Why, that there court's nothing but a trap. There's only one entrance to it from the street, as you've seen, sir. And that's as narrow as the opening to a sentry box.
Dorset Street's never deserted either, day and night. When the public's closed, the lodging houses begin to get busy. And that big one over the way kept by Crossenham's open all night. And it exactly faced the entrance to my court. But no one saw any strange man come down or go out of it. When Bowyer come running to me, all scared and trembling, I went to number 13 and put my head through the broken window. I haven't broken my fast since then. The sight I saw made me sick. And it'll be a good many years before I forget it.
It's Mary Jane Kelly, 25 and dead. When she was alive.
Depends how much you believe Joseph Barnett, the man she'd been living with, or the stories that she told him about herself.
I met her first last Easter twelvemonth and lived with her from then until last Tuesday week. She was 22 then, fresh-looking and well-behaved, though she had been walking the streets for 3 years previous to that. She told me her maiden name was Marie Jeanette Kelly. She was born in Limerick. Her parents moved when she was a child to Wales, and they lived in Carmarthenshire. She was married when she was 16 to a collier, but I don't remember his name. He was killed in an explosion in the mines, and Marie went to Cardiff with her cousin, living as best she could. From there she went to France, but she only stayed a short time. Then she lived in a fashionable house in the West End, and then she came to the East End. She took lodgings in Pennington Street, and when she was there, a man named Morganstone lived with her. We used to live in Dorset Street, but we got thrown out from our lodgings because we got drunk and didn't pay the rent. We lived in Miller's Court until Marie let a woman sleep in the same room. When she came and stayed there, I left and took lodgings elsewhere. I used to come nearly every day and see her, and if I had any money, I gave her some. I stopped for about a quarter of an hour last Thursday. Told her I had no money. Marie never went in the streets when she lived with me, and she'd never have gone wrong again. And I should never have left her if it hadn't been for the bad woman stopping with her.
Any truth in that?
Well, it's hard to say. She was a cut above the rest of the women living in Dorset Street, but no relatives turned up. One of the papers did track down a woman that Kelly had worked for in Swansea, but they couldn't talk to her. She was waiting to come up for trial at the assizes as an abortionist.
So all this talk about going to France and living in a West End brothel was just romancing.
I reckon so. I reckon she went to Carmarthen, Swansea, Cardiff Dock area, East End. She was young, she was pretty. But she drank.
And she still sounded merry.
I heard her singing Friday night about 12:30. She was singing, I plucked a violet from my mother's grave. Rest her soul in heaven, poor dear. Rest her poor dear soul. She was a good, quiet and pleasant girl, as was liked by all of us. Oh, if only I'd known what was going to happen when I heard her singing that song. If it hadn't been for my Dave, he's my old man, you must know, I'd have walked out of that room and I'd have caught that white-livered villain. But my Dave said, you leave that woman alone, so I stayed where I was. Worse luck for the poor dear soul. Then I goes to bed, and I sleep so soundly that I doesn't get up till nigh on 7 in the morning. It was close on half an hour later that I wanted to go to market to buy my flowers. It was a chilly morning, with the rain falling steadily. And me poor shawl being as thin as a cobweb, the thought just struck me that I'd borrow Mary Jane's pelerine. So I knocks at her door, and I gets no answer. So I thinks to myself, she's sleeping, poor dear. I haven't got the heart to wake her. So I trudge through the wet in these here rags, as you see. And it wasn't till I gets back that I hears the dreadful news and sees her from my room across through the broken window, a sight I shall carry down to my grave.
The landlord thought so too. And he got nearer.
As soon as Superintendent Arnold arrived, he gave instructions for the door to be burst open. I forced the door with a pickaxe and we entered the room. The sight we saw, I cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more like the work of the devil than a man. poor woman's body was lying on the bed undressed. She'd been completely disemboweled, and her entrails had been taken out and placed on the table. It was those I'd seen when I looked through the window and took to be lumps of flesh. The woman's nose had been cut off and her face was gashed and mutilated, so she was quite beyond recognition. Both her breasts had been cut away and placed by the side of her liver and other entrails on the table. I'd heard a great deal about the Whitechapel murders, but I declare to God, I never expected to see such a sight as this.
Just as well Barnaby and Burgo were spared it.
Who?
The landlord knew.
Inspector Aberlin arrived and gave instructions that no one should be allowed to enter or leave the court. The inspector waited a little while and then sent a telegram to Sir Charles Warren to bring the bloodhounds.
They didn't come, though.
Handsome beasts.
Two magnificent animals champion Barnaby and Burgo. Barnaby is better known on the show benches, but Burgo in body, feet and legs is as nearly perfect as possible.
Sounds like the Miss World contest.
Burgo is nearly 2 years younger than his kennel companion. He's black and tan and is a rare stamp of hound. Powerful, well-formed and exceedingly well-grown. His head measures 12 inches in length.
Any vital statistics for Sir Charles Warren?
Only that he held field trials in Hyde Park, with himself as the mechanical hand. In one of the longest courses, the hounds were checked at half the distance. Burgo ran back, but Barnaby, making a fresh cast forward, recovered the trail and ran the quarry home.
But he didn't bite him while he was at it. Might have put Sir Charles off the scent.
The dogs had been purchased by Sir C. Warren for the use of the police in the detection of crime should occasion arise.
Can you see Robert Mark chasing round Hyde Park with two bloodhounds after him?
I'd pay a lot of money for the chance.
And to read the papers afterwards.
Oh, the papers had a lovely time with Sir Charles, especially when they got hold of the story that the hounds had got lost on Tooting Common and an all-stations alert went out.
And that didn't stop him?
Oh, no. No, he issued instructions that in the event of another Jack the Ripper murder, his nasty policemen with their big feet were not to go anywhere near the scene of the crime until after the bloodhounds got there.
And that is why it was 2.5 hours before a single detective or a doctor got into the room where Kelly's body lay?
Exactly. They hung around till 1:30, and then Superintendent Arnold turned up with authority to enter the room.
With Barnaby and Burgo, presumably?
Oh, no. No, Sir Charles and the owner hadn't been able to agree on terms after all, so B&B were back in their kennels at Scarborough. Only nobody got around to telling Aberlin.
So he just waited?
Obeying instructions. And taking statements, I hope, because a lot of people had seen Mary Jane Kelly. People like the widow Cox.
I saw her on Thursday night about 11:45. She was drunk. There was a man with her, a short, stout man, shabbily dressed. He had a pot of ale in his hand. He had a longish coat on, dark it was, and a round billycock hat. I didn't notice his hair, but he had a blotchy face and a carroty moustache. I said good night to her. She was shutting the door of her room. She said, "Good night, I'm going to have a song." She started singing a violet I plucked from my mother's grave. I stayed in my room for 1/4 hour, and then I went out again. When I got back at 1 o'clock, she was still singing. I stayed in my room for a minute to warm my hands because it was raining, and then I went out again. She was still singing. I got back to my room at 3 o'clock. The light was out, and there was no noise.
Because by that time, Mary Jane Kelly was dead?
Killed by the man with the blotchy face and carroty moustache. Not as simple as that. Must have been weird. That little court. There's the widow Cox trudging up and down stairs all night, looking for a client. And in the room above Kelly's, there's another one. Elizabeth Prater.
I left my room about 5 o'clock. Got back about 1 in the morning. I stood at the corner till 1:20. No one spoke to me. McCarthy's shop was open and I called in. Then I went to my room. I should have seen a light in Kelly's room, but there wasn't none. Partition so thin I could have heard Kelly walk about in the room. I went to bed at 1:30, barricaded the door with 2 tables. I fell asleep directly. A kitten disturbed me about 3:30 or 3:45. As I was turning round, I heard a cry of murder in a faint voice. It seemed to come from the court.
Do you often hear cries of murder?
There's nothing unusual in the street. I didn't take particular notice.
Did you hear it again?
No. I went back to sleep. I woke up again about 5. I went downstairs and I saw some men harnessing horses. 5:45, I was in the 10 Bells.
At 5:45.
Well, they'd be open for the market.
Yeah, but she hadn't been humping sacks of potatoes around. What a world. Going to bed, barricading the door, hearing shouts of murder and just turning over in your sleep. And then at 6 o'clock, into the pub to get another day going.
Yeah, but what matters is that she said there was no light in Kelly's room. So Kelly was either dead by then, which means that the Ripper was our man with the carroty moustache and the blotchy face, or she'd got rid of him and gone downstairs again to look for another client.
Even at 1 in the morning.
Well, why not? There were no cocks in the parade. A woman was still touting for business. And Kelly was a damn sight younger and prettier than either of them, and she owed 30 shillings in rent, which was a lot of money.
So, do we enter carroty moustache?
I don't think so. But if you think the Ripper was after Kelly, then you should pay attention to her man, Joseph Barnett.
I've seen the body, and it is Mary Kelly. I could identify her by the ears and the eyes. I'm positive it is her. I last saw her alive between 7:30 and 7:15 on the night she's supposed to have been murdered. I called to see after her welfare and stayed there a quarter of an hour.
Did you have any drink together there?
No, sir.
Was she quite sober?
Yes, sir.
Was she generally of sober habits?
I always found her so. But she had been drunk several times in my presence. I picked her up first in the commercial road one night, and we had a drink together. I made arrangements to see her the following day, which was a Saturday. We agreed to live together, and I took lodgings in a place in George Street, not far from where the George Yard murder was committed. I lived with her up to when I left her just recently.
Did you ever hear her say she was afraid of anyone?
Yes. She used to get me to bring her the evening papers and see if there was another murder.
Interesting.
Maybe. But they must all have been fairly twitchy by then. All the women on the streets, anyway. What's your view?
I'm on a different tack. A little matter of impeding the course of justice.
How?
Well, this was the 5th murder, all in less than 10 weeks. All obviously by a clever and dangerous criminal. So there was an inquest. But it wasn't the same coroner, remember. Instead of Win Baxter, the one who kept asking questions and shouting the odds, instead it's being conducted by another coroner on the grounds that the body is lying in his district. It is Dr. Roderick MacDonald, MP, who's in the chair now, and he's prepared to prove it.